Good morning. It's Weezy FS1. Skip the BS and put everybody after BS. PS, all I spit is FACTS. The best, Skip Bayless, yes, say less. Top of the top, apex, everyday flex. If you ain't got no haters, you ain't poppin', I ain't trying to hate. Let's have a Jordan and LeBron debate. I got time today, dripping on the chain. My diamonds say what they gotta say. If you think it's a game, I commentate, I ain't gotta play. On in the morning, I own my opponent. My competition is not an issue, it's cotton tissue. Unconventional, controversial, convoluted, unconditional, undeterred and undisputed. Good morning.
Good morning. It is time to skip the BS. It is time for Undisputed. It is time for me to say hey to my two favorite sparring partners, the two former NFL stars and lifelong Laker fans. Keyshawn Johnson, Richard Sherman, whose Lakers last night lost again to the Clippers, whose Lakers fell to 22-23, ninth place in the West, while the Clippers, the team in the basement at the Crypt, has risen all the way to 28-14, just a game and a half out of first place in the West. Oh, the shame. Good morning to you two, and congratulations.
Yeah, Skip. Congratulations.
Good morning.
The Clippers beat the Lakers. Yay.
Let's hang up a banner for
Yay.
them.
Well, you guys hung one, and that's the last I've seen of you guys, right?
I told Keyshawn we should have.
I know, you said it. All right, we're going to get to our AFC and NFC championship game predictions and our dinner bets in just a few minutes. But let's start and stay in the NBA, as I just mentioned. Biggest shocker of the day yesterday, if not of the entire NBA season, was first-year Milwaukee Bucks coach Adrian Griffin. Fired after just 43 games, likely to be replaced by Doc Rivers. Okay, let's start with this. Keyshawn, please. Did Adrian Griffin deserve to be fired in your estimation?
You know, it's funny, Skip, because the word deserve, right? It's second in the conference right now behind Boston. You say to yourself, does he deserve to be fired? I don't think, I wouldn't characterize it as being deserved to be fired. I would look at it as saying, hey, does the Milwaukee Bucks deserve to go in another direction if they don't think things is working out with Griff at the head coaching spot? If that's what they chose to do, even though their record indicates something different, I think when you look at the defensive efficiency, you look at last year, and you mentioned it, they were going to lose something, as you said before, Skip, with Drew Holiday no longer there. Then all of a sudden, they were fourth in defensive efficiency. They're in the 20s now. So there's a big disparity right there on that. Now you talk about, okay, what do they do? Who do they go hire? I mean, we're not even at the midway point, right? This is still the beginning of the season, and you say, well, Doc Rivers is who they're flirting with. That is the name that's floating out there, and I'm sure within the next 24 hours or so, he'll probably get hired in this situation. Is that a good hire for them? I think so. I think Doc's a really good NBA basketball coach who had great success in Boston, mild success with the Clippers, and very little success to a degree with the 76ers. But he knows how to coach basketball. So now when you look at it with Doc Rivers, the one thing that you don't want to do is get to be 3-1 in the playoffs. Because you know what happens when he's 3-1 in the playoffs. He crumbles. So if they can get to 2-2 in the playoffs, because essentially, if you just look at the big three that he had in Philadelphia, so to speak, and you look at this three, it's kind of comparable, right? You had Joel Embiid. Now all of a sudden, there's a possibility that you could have Giannis, and then you get Dame Lillard and Middleton. You had Maxey and Harden along with Embiid. So you look at that and you say, well, you didn't get far in that situation, but can somebody with the dominance in the personality that Giannis comes with, take Milwaukee over the hump and come out of the East with Doc Rivers as a coach? I think they can. I think it could potentially be a game changer for them.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think it was deserved, Skip. I think you know, as a rookie head coach, after you fire Coach Bud, you know, who had this team playing really well throughout most of the season. I mean, all this time there, they were the highest scoring team, the most wins since 2018 to 2023. Then you fire him because he loses the series to the Heat, which, you know, it seemed like everybody lost the series to the Heat but the Denver Nuggets. And you fire him and you say, oh, the grass is greener on the other side. We can do better. You say, we need another big-time scorer, big-time playmaker. But to get him, we have to sacrifice our defensive-minded guard, who Drew Holiday, who we use to stop everybody, who changes fundamentally changes the outlook of our defense. And you get Dame Lillard, who is not known for defense, but is known for scoring. Dame Lillard can put the ball in the basket. Dame Lillard comes over, your defense drops. What did you expect? I mean, what did you expect? And so I don't understand the firing halfway through his rookie year coaching when you say they were, to my notes, they were 14th in defense efficiency last year. Now they're 22nd. And you expect that kind of drop-off when you go from a defensive-minded point guard to one of the best offensive-minded point guards in the league. And then you go on to say, yeah, Dame Lillard isn't scoring as many points as he did last year. Well, Dame was pretty much by himself last year. He can do whatever he wants. He getting the ball. He getting as many shots up as he needs. Now you got Giannis. You got Giannis, and Giannis needs his. And Giannis is going to get his points. He's going to get – the system is going to be designed around him, and you're going to have to navigate and figure that out. You didn't even give this coach a full season to try to figure out how to make these pieces work. These are two totally different – this is a totally different basketball team than it was last year or the year before that or the year before that. And you got to find out how to integrate Dame into this culture, into this team. And instead of letting him figure it out, you fire him. And I guess, you know, the 40-point loss to the Cavs on January 17th was a boiling point, but you didn't even have Giannis in the game. So I don't understand really why the firing happened. I mean, I guess I need more information, more internal information. Maybe things weren't going well. Maybe he didn't get along with the players as well. But why'd you fire Coach Bud then, you know?
Well, there's a lot of reports that's out there, Skip, as you know, that Griff didn't win the locker room over. He lost the locker room. He lost the players. They stopped wanting to be a part of what he was teaching. That's the rumor mill suggests that. And they made the decision based on those sort of things. But it's interesting that that's even brought up because if you remember, and I love Doc Rivers, been knowing Doc Rivers for a very, very, very long time. If you remember Doc Rivers, Skip, out here in Los Angeles, that's what happened with the Clippers and Paul George and company. They kind of fell out of favor with those guys. And so now you're going to possibly insert him in Milwaukee. You know, some of that went on in Philadelphia with James Harden and company, that they kind of fell out with Doc Rivers. So it'll be interesting to see if they, in fact, go ahead and pull the trigger, how the players are going to respond to Doc as the coach.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, so you two played in the National Football League. And that game, to me, because I've covered both very closely, is very different than the game that's played in the National Basketball Association. The big difference is that the basketball league is more of a players' league, and your league is more of an all-for-one league, where the players don't actually run the sport quite the way the NBA players run their sport. Would you guys agree on that sort of principle, that premise?
Yes.
Yeah, sure.
I would say that the general managers and the owners have a little more control in football.
A little more control. Okay. So what just happened was that Giannis and Dame just said no to Adrian. They just said, no, it's just not going to work. It's not a fit for us. And I believe in the end, they fired this very young first-year head coach. I mean, he's not young in age, but he's a first-year head coach. So the point is, it wasn't working for them because it was already flawed from the start. And Keyshawn, you brought it up. I first guessed this. I said, you're going to lose. And Richard obviously alluded to it. You're going to lose a whole lot on defense if you trade Drew Holiday and replace him with Dame. Dame right now is ranked 81st in defensive win shares, individual defensive win shares in the league. So he's never been much of a defender, and he's still not much of a defender. But even worse for Dame, his offense has suffered because, remember, they brought his head coach from Portland, Terry Stotts, in to be the assistant and sort of the mentor or guiding light for young Adrian Griffin as a first-year head coach. And what happened before the year started? Terry Stotts and Adrian got into it and clashed over the offensive use of Dame. And Terry quit before is back in the preseason. He said, I can't take it, I'm out. Well, that was the first sign on the locker room wall that this was not going to go well because Dame never quite got along offensively with Adrian Griffin. And then Adrian tried to instill and impose on the Bucks that Toronto defensive system that he taught so well under Nick Nurse in Toronto, which is that pressure, pressing, perimeter scheme. And they don't play like that. Giannis wasn't comfortable with that, and it was pulling Brook Lopez too far out from under the basket, where he is one of the best rim protectors, as we know, in the game. Strategies, philosophies.